and welcome back to the United Stand. It is the 8 p.m. Thursday night show. Usually Kev's spot here on the United Stand, but he's away with work at the minute, so I've had to rush from the gym to come and do the show for you guys. So I'm excited to get into all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Joshua Zirkzee is edging closer and closer as it looks like Manchester United could win that race over AC Milan. Really concrete reports now coming out from Sky Sports that Manchester United are edging closer to completing the Joshua Zirkzee deal. Also, Ugarte as well is looking hot. Could them two players be the first two deals of the transfer window for Ten Hags and for Manchester United? And if they were, would that be good enough for Manchester United? Would you be happy with that? Would you be happy with Zirkzee coming in as a striker? Would you be happy with Ugarte coming in as the midfielder? Also, some talk on Ten Hag, as it is now 100% confirmed that he will sign the new contract and his two new coaches will come in. But some of his coaches may depart as well, as there's a reshuffle behind the scenes with some of Ten Hag's coaches at risk of losing their job. Also, Jadon Sancho set to return very soon to Manchester United. How will that play out? Will he be training on his own again? Is this going to be an issue that comes into the pre-season with what do you do for Jadon Sancho? Also, Chelsea again going for Manchester United's transfer target. Going to talk a little bit about that. Also touch a little bit on the Marcus Rashford news as well. There's been reports that PSG could be interested if Rashford has a willingness to do that deal, and also some interest from the Saudi Pro League too, which I think we can just dismiss. Marcus Rashford isn't going to want to go to the Saudi Pro League, but PSG could be on. I know a lot of people have some strong opinions about that. But welcome everybody to the show. Good evening. What have you all been doing today with your Thursday night? I mean, I'm a little bit sweaty, to be honest with you. It's absolutely boiling here in Manchester, and I've just come from the gym as well. But we've got to get on with the show, and we've got to get into all this Manchester United news, because I'm feeling really positive at the minute. I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling really positive. I'm seeing new coaches come in. I'm seeing, first team managers come in to work as behind the scenes with Ten Hag, which we spoke about in the afternoon. I'm seeing us start to progress on certain deals. I'm seeing us, when we're not getting our first choice for transfers, moving on to other targets and having conversations with agents and representatives about multiple different deals. I'm just hoping the outgoings start to happen, because we can speak about the Jadon Sancho stuff in a second. But welcome everybody to the show. Any polls that you guys want, by the way, get them in the chat, because I'm happy to run the polls. I'm happy to get interactive, and that's what I want from you guys as well. So welcome everybody. Gonna speak a little bit as well about Joshua Zirkzee's profile, because honestly, I dismissed the Zirkzee stuff quite early doors, because you know, we do the interviews with Romano on the United Stand, and every time I've interviewed Romano, he seemed pretty positive that Zirkzee is going to go to Milan. I mean, I said I thought the Zirkzee deal was basically off. Honestly, I thought he was going to Milan, but now it looks like Manchester United are actually going to win that race, mainly down to the agent. It looks like, you've got to do your research on this player. You've got to have a look what he's about. And I've been doing my research. I've been having a look, and it's a very exciting profile. It's a risk. Do not get me wrong, it is a risk, but it's an exciting profile, and a very different profile to Rasmus Hojlund as well. Is that what we need? We'll get. Do you know what poll I am going to run though? Who starts up front for Manchester United opening day of the season if we sign Zirkzee? Is it Rasmus or is it Joshua Zirkzee if we do sign him? That's a poll that we could run. I'd be very excited about that. But let's hit the headlines. Let's hit the news. Manchester United remain positive. Manchester United remain in positive talks with Joshua Zirkzee's representatives. There is now cautious optimism that a deal can be done for Zirkzee, with the club prepared to pay the Dutchman's £33.8 million release clause. United are also continuing talks with PSG over the signing of the midfielder Manuel Ugarte. United have a price in mind for him, and that is coming from Sky Sports. So Sky Sports were the ones who originally broke the news on the Ugarte story, and that sort of accelerated quite quickly from other outlets. We'll speak about Ugarte in a second, but the main thing that we can focus on here in terms of the excitement is the cautious optimism that Manchester United are going to get a deal over the line for Joshua Zirkzee, and the positive talks with Zirkzee's representatives. Because remember everyone, what is holding the deal back with Zirkzee and AC Milan? Because Zirkzee and his family have agreed a deal with Milan. Romano's told us that. That's come straight from a tier 1 source. Zirkzee was very ready to move to Milan. He was excited to go to Milan. That was a done deal months ago, weeks ago. There've been talks for months. Milan have everything ready, they're going to play the release clause. But it broke down because the agents and Milan, they refused to pay the fee that the agent is asking for, basically, and apparently their relationship is broken down. Whereas with Manchester United, we've got positive relationships with his representatives, positive relationships with agents, and there was even a rumour because of them positive relationships, the agent might knock the price down a little bit for Manchester United. But we are going to still have to pay an agent fee. But Manchester United are probably happy to do so because, you know, we probably expected to pay about 50, 60 million on a striker, let's be real, in the current market. The £33.8 million release clause is the exact reason why we're going for Joshua Zirkzee, because it's cheap and we're on a budget and we've got several positions to go for. So that is why I think Manchester United are advancing over AC Milan in signing Zirkzee. I think the only stumbling block was, does Zirkzee want to come to Manchester United? And Romano literally said to us at the start of this week that it's not that he prefers Milan, they've just got a deal in place, but he's sure that Zirkzee would be open to coming to Manchester United and coming to the Premier League. So yeah, it's an exciting prospect. Get your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think, and let's go through Zirkzee's profile in a second as well. We've got Heart of United, a member for 11 months, saying, hope you're well, Beth. I am well. I'm very well at the moment. Sun shining in Manchester. You know, June's been an incredible month. Manchester United have given Erik Ten Hag a new contract. Want to see some signings come through the door. I go on holiday on Tuesday as well. Excited for that. Get myself abroad with a cocktail on the beach. I mean, can't think of anything better. So I'm in a good place at the minute. Thank you for asking. Zandy says, stuck in New York City, but I want your opinion on Calafiori. Obviously, the Italian centre-back that impressed in the Euros for Italy. I hadn't seen anyone really speaking about him until the Euros, and I always try to be very cautious about them sort of players. But if I am right, he's a centre-back for Bologna. I think I'm right in that. And obviously, I think he's around 22, 23 years old. Is impressing in Serie A, but I don't like to get too caught up in the Euros hype. I like to evaluate players, you know, across the season. So I'd have to go back and kind of look at that, because I don't really know too much about the player. All I know is that he's playing very well for Italy currently in the Euros. Emily Derry says, this summer feels a little bit more progressive so far. The new coaching staff is a big positive. Of course, we're going to speak about that as well. We're going to speak about the coaches coming in. We spoke about it already in the afternoon, but now it's 100% confirmed. We can speak about that, the excitement behind that as well. And yeah, it's exciting times. I do feel like there is a different feel right now around United, and I always had cautious optimism around Ineos. When we had that period where we had no idea what was going on with Erik Ten Hag, and we didn't know if he was coming or going after the FA Cup, I was really kind of down about the whole situation, to be honest. But now we've got that wrapped up, and we're backing the manager, and we're hearing more concrete discussions come out around transfers. It's getting me a lot more excited. I tell you what, though, on a side note, I'm going to speak about this in a second, about Chelsea coming in for our transfer targets. You might be happy about it, to be honest. But every time I open Twitter, literally every time, Chelsea is signing someone new. I don't understand how it's possible. I don't understand how they're doing it under PSR and under financial fair play. I get that they're giving out long contracts. I know there's potentially some wiggle room around the rules that people have looked into, allegedly. Allegedly, we have to say that. But Chelsea are just non-stop. Like, every time I open the app, there's somebody new that they're signing. And that, for me, is too extreme. Like, you know when they say too many cooks spoil the broth, I think that's the too many cooks in the kitchen. It's like, how many players do Chelsea want to sign? It's crazy. I mean, Manchester United have yet to sign a player, but I think Joshua Zirkzee could definitely be the first one. So on Joshua Zirkzee, I found this really interesting, and I wanted to read out this quote from Joshua Zirkzee, because I know not many people will have watched loads of Bologna games last season, me included. I really didn't know much about Joshua Zirkzee until Manchester United got linked to him. I've tried to have a look, I've tried to do my research, I've tried to ask people I know that watch a lot more Serie A than me about Joshua Zirkzee, and I found this quote which I found very interesting actually about Joshua Zirkzee. And this has come from him. And he said, I'm not a pure centre forward. I said a year ago that I liked playing with an attacking partner, but Motta transformed me into a 9.5. I'm not an Arnautovic type. I like to come forward after playing the ball and help the team and score goals. So him saying that, I'm not an out-and-out singular number 9, I'm a 9.5. I like to drop in, I like to help out my forward players, i.e. the wingers. I like to facilitate. He is very good on the ball, and for his stature and for his frame and for his physicality, he moves really well with the ball at his feet. It's interesting to watch, actually, and I know a lot of you will know what I mean because you'll have watched him, but he moves really well with the ball at his feet. He is that facilitating number 9. He is going to come and drop in, and I think that's a profile Manchester United need. Rasmus is 100% getting better at it, and I thought Rasmus's cameo in the FA Cup final honestly went under the radar. He was absolutely brilliant. We were under so much pressure. He came on, he held up the ball really well, took the ball into dangerous areas while retaining it, and he really got us up the pitch and helped us out. He won that free kick for when, Bruno just kicked it into the stands and the whistle went, and the crowd went wild and we won the FA Cup. But he really has started to develop in that area. There's still more development to go, but you'd see Rasmus is more of like a target man. He's in and around the box. You want to give him service. He's got all the attributes. Zirkzee, again, he can score goals. He's tall, he's physical, but he's quite good with the ball at his feet, and he's used to dropping in and facilitating his wingers, which I think is a profile that Manchester United need, and I think a lot of you guys have said that as well. A lot of people really like the idea of Cunha because of that reason. Obviously, Joshua Zirkzee is different to Cunha. A lot of people liked Martial for that reason. There's a reason why Martial works really well with Rashford and Greenwood. He was more of a facilitating number 9 that still scored a lot of goals in that NHS lockdown season. I'm not saying Joshua Zirkzee is them players. He's different. He's got a lot of different attributes for the young age that he has. So it is an exciting prospect. But like with Rasmus last season, a young player that's playing in the Serie A and I think Joshua Zirkzee is more advanced than what Rasmus is when we signed him. Of course he is, but he's still young. It's still a risk. He'd still have to adapt. And I think people would need to be patient with that because a lot of people wanted that more experienced number 9. A lot of people wanted someone proven to come in now. I'm going to be honest, I did. I've said that on the United stand. I honestly feel like the main reason we're going for Joshua Zirkzee is because of the price and because Manchester United are on a budget. Remember what Omar Barada said. I keep saying it. It's got to suit us on the footballing side, but also it's got to be compatible financially. I think Joshua Zirkzee ticks that box of being compatible financially. Around 34 million, probably give 8 million to his agent, which is still obscene, but you're still getting him for probably just around 40 million pounds for a young prospect that a lot of people are talking very highly of. Dutch, obviously, we know Erik Ten Hag likes that, but this won't just be purely Erik Ten Hag. This will have massive influence from that recruitment team, and that's the exciting thing about next season as well, is there is no excuses. Nobody can turn around and say, right, if Zirkzee doesn't work out, I hope he does, but no one can turn around and say, right, that's another Dutch player that Erik Ten Hag's brought in that hasn't worked, because there's massive influence from the recruitment. I'm sure Omar Barada and Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos will be loving the fact that Joshua Zirkzee's 34 million if we do get him. And there's no shame in that. United do have to fill multiple positions. We do have a midfielder to get. We do have a centre-back to get, or 2. We do have a right winger to potentially get. We do have a left-back to get. You are going to have to find gems out there that fit what you want, but also have a good price as well. And that's what Joshua Zirkzee is for me. Would he have been my first choice to bring in as a centre forward? Gonna be completely honest, no. Do I feel like it is a big risk? Yes. But am I willing to get behind this signing? Because I do think he has the attributes that Man United are looking for, and I do think there's a lot of development there for him to turn into a very good player. And I'm hoping with the likes of Van Nistelrooy coming in, remember how excited are we about that? Somebody who knows what it takes to be a proven goal scorer at the top of his game, playing for a brilliant team, is going to help develop the likes of Hojlund, develop the likes of Joshua Zirkzee. And I think it is looking likely that Joshua Zirkzee is going to be Manchester United's centre-forward signing. And how do you feel about that, actually? How do you feel about that? Let me know. Got a couple more things to say on him, but want to read out some of your chats as well. Wayne Finnegan, a member for 47 months, says, "Evening, Beth. Ruud will turn Zirkzee and Hojlund into forward finishing beasts." You read my mind there. York and Cole combination comes to mind. In Ten Hag we trust. I mean, you could actually play them as a 2. I don't think we will, but you could. And Zandy says, are you up to date with Copa America? I'm honestly not. I need to have a look. I know Garnacho's not really been playing many minutes. I'm trying to keep an eye on Manchester United players. Also would love to go and watch Ugarte as well if he's playing for Uruguay. But with all the Euro stuff, the United stand stuff, you know, staying up to like 1, 2 in the morning isn't really feasible for me at the moment. On weekends, maybe a little bit, but as the tournament develops, I'm going to try and watch a lot more of it. Hopefully the semi-finals and the finals. Definitely something I always try and watch for sure. George Thompson says, evening Beth, just baked a cake for barbecue at my mate's. Thank you for that little piece of information. Tell you what, I'm having a barbecue tomorrow night. Can't wait for it. Mario Franco says, a bit worried with this window, no exciting targets. I think it's different. A lot of people are used to us chasing a De Jong all summer. A lot of people are used to us signing, like, I wouldn't say a Galactico because they've not been Galacticos, but signing a big money signing. You know, we've had the 80 million for Anthony. We've had the 70 odd million on Jadon Sancho. You know, we've had the 70 odd million on Casemiro. We've had these big signings. I don't think we're going to get that this summer. I think they're going to be smart signings to help the squad and hopefully take us forward, and signings that we can progress. And I think Joshua Zirkzee is one that fits that. He's a smart signing. He's a cheaper option, but he does have massive amounts of potential, and there's a lot of good talk about him coming out of Italy. I mean, there's a reason Milan's going for him. There's other clubs interested as well. A shame he's not really managed to get any minutes for the Netherlands, and I think that's just due to inexperience, to be honest with you. I don't think he will even see a minute because they've got Weghorst who's playing ahead of him, Depay who's playing ahead of him, Brian Brobby, is he back fit yet? He'll probably be playing ahead of him as well. Another target that Manchester United were interested in, but that's sort of cooled off. So yeah, it's early days for Zirkzee, and again, people are going to expect a lot, but I wouldn't expect the finished article. Emily Derry, a member for 26 months, thank you very much, Emily, said, this summer feels a little bit more progressive so far with the new coaching staff. It's a big positive. I think I've said that as well. Mario Franco says, I'd rather get Dovbyk over Zirkzee, to be honest, the same price too. That's the Girona centre forward, isn't it? And I saw him playing for Ukraine. I wasn't too impressed, but he did really well for Girona last season, and I think he's got a release clause, hasn't he? I think he's around 27 years old, so a bit more experienced. Sean from Ireland says, is it just me, or are 2 coaches coming in better than the managers we were talking about replacing with Ten Hag? I mean, Van Nistelrooy is super exciting. Don't obviously know too much about Rene Hake. I think I'm saying that right. Dutch people, don't kill me. But from the research I did in the afternoon, he looks really interesting and exciting. Biggin says, what do you think of us, Newcastle United, going in for Theo? I don't know what you're talking about. That might be me being stupid, but if you can give me some clarity, I would appreciate that. But getting your opinions on Zirkzee, let's get a poll going. Would you be happy as Zirkzee as our centre forward to compete with Rasmus? Is he the right move? Is that your preferred option? Would you be happy with that? Like I said, 100% honest, wouldn't be my top option. Am I going to get behind it because it is a smart signing for the money? Yes, I am. The one thing I would say is, with Zirkzee and Hojlund, they are different profiles, but it's the same thing again. Like, we signed Rasmus with promise and with area for development and with potential. We're doing the same thing with Zirkzee. And again, obviously you've got 2 players to share the workload, but it is a lot of pressure. People are going to expect greatness straight away. I think this signing as well makes it clear from Ineos that, one, they're putting a lot of faith in Rasmus, because Zirkzee, again, is another risk. But 2, we are looking for development. We are looking to progress players. We are building a young team, and you've got to have patience. You have got to have patience with them 2 players playing as our centre forward. And also, we've got to provide service. But the good thing about it is it provides a different profile, and it provides us something different. And I think it will facilitate the likes of Rashford, if he's still here. Obviously, PSG lurking around, he might go. It will facilitate Rashford and Garnacho really well. The wingers that are more goal-scoring wingers that like to cut inside and shoot. To be fair, Garnacho got a lot better at being creative last season, especially playing off that right wing. But for them sort of pacey wingers that like to get in behind and like to score goals, we've seen it with Garnacho in the FA Cup final, Zirkzee will be good at getting the best out of them. Similar to the way Martial did it with Rashford and Greenwood. But getting your polls down below. But yeah, I wanted to read this out from the Everyday MUFC on Twitter, and a Twitter account I really like to follow, and I thought it was interesting, so I'd give you the information. He says, Zirkzee is a facilitator, but has shown good movement in behind, a desire to play off the last defender. However, his primary style is to drop deeper, link the play and be a creator for others. Again, that would suit our wingers. I actually think with the current forward options of Manchester United, that a centre-forward of this ilk suits his style. Fernandes/Manu to form connections centrally with the inverted runs of Marcus Rashford off the left, whilst Alejandro Garnacho has shown excellent movement/timing off the right too. And I haven't even mentioned Rasmus Hojlund as well. So he's saying that he thinks that Zirkzee would be a great option to get the best out of the wingers, which is basically what I was saying as well, but getting the comment down below too. And Keel Robinson says, perfect signing for where we are. Exactly. You know, people have got to be realistic. We're not a side that's going to compete for the Premier League next season. And people won't like that, but it's true. We're not. We are competing for top 4 next season. And what we want to do is we want to build a team where we're in a position to compete for the Premier League in 2 or 3 seasons' time. That's what you would ideally like. Next season, we have to get Champions League football. The season after that, you'd like to see us, you know, challenging the likes of the Arsenals and Cities around the second place mark. I still don't think we'll get near them. Then the season after that, that's when you think, have Man United got what it takes to be Premier League champions? The league is super competitive. Arsenal are only getting better. We'll have to see how Liverpool develop with Arne Slot. You know, Spurs made some good progress under Ange Postecoglou, but, you know, they are Spurs. Newcastle obviously have a lot of ambition. They just need to overcome the financial fair play aspects of things. You've got a lot of, Aston Villa are looking very good under Emery if they can keep hold of him. You've got a lot of competition. So you look at Manchester United, the place that we're in, we've just come 8th. I get we were injury ridden, but we need to make smart signings that are going to develop, and Zirkzee is one of them. And we're not in that position where we're going to compete for the Premier League next season. So patience is a must. It's like, I expect Arsenal to go and buy your fully established centre forward, because they're in that position where that's kind of like, you know, they're making, you know, icing on top of the cake sort of signings here. You know, they probably need a centre forward, they probably need a midfielder, they probably need a fullback, and they're going to hope to win the Premier League next season. Like, that's their aim off Manchester City. United are a little bit behind that. We're trying to, you know, we're looking at the starting 11, we're thinking we need this, we need that, we need that. We've still got a lot of areas to develop and improve, and we've got a very young squad that is still progressing. Manu, as good as he is still progressing. You know, Garnacho's definitely still progressing. Hojlund's got a lot of progression to go to have. I mean, Martinez is only 25, and that's really exciting as well. Dallow's still a young fullback, so it hopefully will be exciting times. And Ten Hags tried to make that clear. He said in interviews, we've chosen to go down the route of developing young players, and we've got to have patience, and that's what we need to have. Alex Davis says, 4 in, 5 out. I'm happy with that, Beth. Danny Greenland says, as much as I want to win the league, we won't, not yet, but I expect us to be at the top. Winston says, Isak, 30 goals plus playing for Man United. Honestly, what I would do to sign Isak to Manchester United, I mean, it's impossible. And it's sad to think, because, you know, like, years ago when Manchester United were, like, flourishing, that wouldn't have been impossible. But Isak is just, for me, he's up there with one of the best strikers in the league, honestly. I think he's brilliant. That would be absolutely transformative. But we're not bringing in a player like that. You've got to have patience with the likes of the Zirkzees and the Hojlunds. Is Zirkzee a good signing for Man United? I'm going to say yes. Let me know what the poll is saying. Like always, my polls aren't working. I don't know what is wrong with me. So 85% of you say yes. So people are on board with this now, and I think people have accepted that, and I think he could be our first signing. Next poll I'm going to do, let's end that one, as I move into the Ugarte story. Let's get a poll going of who would start on the opening day of the season, Zirkzee or Rasmus. I personally, actually I won't say what I think. I want to see what you guys say first. But who would start? I'd love to see I'd love to see what you guys said. Kesh just said best poll isn't working with a laughing face. Yeah, I kind of got that one. As well. But get your comments in. Let me know what you're thinking. Ugarte. Wow, we're nearly half an hour in already. God, I spent a long time speaking about Zirkzee, but I've not really had much of my say on it yet, which is why I did that. But Ugarte. So Sky Sports also saying that United are continuing talks with PSG over the signing of midfielder Manuel Ugarte. Man United have a price in mind for him. The rumour is with the Ugarte is that Manchester United want to pay around 30 to 35 million. PSG want 50 million. Basically the money that they spent on him last season. But to be honest with you, at the end of the day, Ugarte wants to move. His agent has literally said that there's clubs interested in him and he basically will leave PSG this summer. Well, that's what Mark was saying on the morning show, so I hope Mark's right on that one. So Ugarte does want to leave. He's not really... I mean, he played for PSG last season, but he wasn't like a mainstay in the starting 11. So, to be honest with you, I would be hoping that Manchester United could negotiate a deal for the 35 million plus maybe 10 million in add-ons mark. That would be a great deal for Manuel Ugarte. He is still young. He still has massive amounts of potential. I've seen very mixed reviews on this. I've seen a few people on Twitter, wanting to sign all sorts of people that have never amounted to be anything really, have they? So, you can't always take into account some of the Twitter accounts. I have a few Twitter accounts that I really do trust and follow, and I really like the content that they put out, but I see some sometimes and I'm like, you're acting like you're Pep Guardiola when realistically, you're not. Anyway, but I can only say what my opinion is on Manuel Ugarte, and I understand people have differing views on this. I spoke about him a little bit a couple of days ago, but I'll just reinforce the fact of the matter. Just because it hasn't worked out under Enrique, who's very specific about his profiles of players, doesn't mean it's not going to work out in Manchester United. It's about partnerships. It's about complementing that player. Manuel Ugarte, power, aggression, brilliant press, great at anticipating danger and intercepting the play. Manchester United are a team that under Erik Ten Hag want to play forward-thinking, aggressive, pressing football. Erik Ten Hag has said this. He says he wants to push his players forward, he wants to aggressively press, and he wants to play football on the front foot. I mean, last season, a lot of the times, and I'm hoping we're not going to set up exactly like we did last season, because that wasn't great, let's be real. But last season, we had a situation where the midfield was non-existent. There were, teams were absolutely cutting through our midfield. We had Casemiro stuck in no man's land. Manu was basically an anchor on his own, trying to hold down the ship. It was like 3 versus 1. And you had Bruno, who a lot of the times, as much as I love him, he's not got the best positional discipline, and he was playing so far forward next to Rasmus that you'd basically just had a donut midfield with nothing in the middle. I mean, we can't have that again, let's be honest. And no matter how good Ugarte is at anticipating danger, you can't have like a 4-on-1 situation. The player's, going to be outnumbered and he's not going to be able to deal with it. But I think Ugarte suits the style of football that Erik Ten Hag wants to play. He wants to play on the front foot. He wants to play aggressive football. He wants his fullbacks to come in and help out in the midfield. He wants his forward players to push forward, and he wants to press. At times, if you don't win the press initially, you are going to get caught out. And Ugarte is brilliant at sniffing out that danger and intercepting the play, winning the ball back and bringing you back onto the front foot. You've got Manu, who is excellent on the ball, excellent at receiving the ball in the half turn, progressing the ball from the back four, and just keeping the ball progressing through the midfield. He can add a bit going forward. He's scored some good goals for us this season, and he's really good at keeping that possession in the side. You pair him up is sort of a double pivot, and I think it would be more of a double pivot, personally. It might not be, but that's just my personal opinion. You pair him up with somebody who is an excellent ball winner, has great energy, is really good at getting about the pitch, anticipates the danger. I think you've got a really good combination there, personally. I think you've got a really good combination. Enrique likes more of a Busquets-style holding midfielder. Ugarte isn't that, which maybe is why he's not really been a preference of Enrique, but he has played minutes, he has played football. And he has been good for PSG this season. It's not as if he's been poor when he's played. He's been good. I just don't think Enrique really fancies him. But when he was coming out of Sporting, he was like, everyone was talking super highly of him. I know United fans wanted him last season. Liverpool were very much interested. Chelsea were interested as well. PSG managed to get it over the line, but he's still young. There's still massive areas of development. And for me, I mean, I might be wrong, and, you know, I'd hold my hands up if I am. But I wanted him last year. I really like the player. And also, I'm looking at his age and I'm thinking 23 years old. Like, you've still got room to develop. And again, it adds a young profile into our team. I just think under the style of football that we're planning to play, where you've gonna have to be aggressive when you're getting forward, but you're also gonna have to be aggressive when you're defending as well. You want your players to be able to do both. Ugarte suits that sort of style, and I think that's important for this system under Ten Hag. And also as well, I've seen someone, I'm not gonna try and claim this is my point, I've seen someone speaking about this before, and I don't know who it was. It might have just been a conversation we were having in the office, to be honest with you, in the studio. But somebody said, and I can't remember who it was, that when Martinez was out of the team this year, we really lacked that aggression, you know, the passion, the personality from the back. And obviously, I'm hoping that Martinez has an injury-free season, because I think he's super important to us. I think we missed him greatly last season. But Ugarte gives you that into your team. It adds another player who's got that passion, got that aggression, you know, that South American grit, which I think, honestly, I love to have that in my team. So it adds that personality as well, which honestly, for me, is super important. Personality and leadership is super important. So I really like the idea of Ugarte. I think it's very clear that Manchester United have moved away from João Neves a little bit. I think Benfica have really put their foot down on the release clause of 120 million. United can't do that. You never know. Things might change and United might come back around, and we might end up somehow negotiating a deal for João Neves. I just don't see it happening. So I think Man United have had the conversations with Ugarte's agency, because we're speaking about multiple players under that agency. I can't remember the name of it. Is it? It begins with a J, I think. I can't remember the name of it. But they were at Carrington and they were speaking to him. And I think Man United have thought, you know what? Let's not spend all summer trying to chase João Neves. As much as we want him, as much as he would be a brilliant signing, we need to have someone ready and lined up to go, because when Casemiro leaves, which is feeling sort of inevitable, we need to bring in someone to play with Kobbie Mainoo. We really want them to be gaining that partnership as early as possible. I know Mainoo's playing for England, so we'll be back late to pre-season, but you want to have, you know, you want to have him integrated as soon as possible. And I think that's why we're looking at Ugarte. And I think it's exciting that Sky Sports are saying, you know, United had a price in mind for him. And I think it's exciting that his agents are saying he will move. Could be competition from Liverpool, potentially even Chelsea, but mainly probably Liverpool, I think he was talking about. I think Juventus were looking as well, but I don't think there's any reason why Man United can't get this over the line. I really don't. Ugarte wants more game time. You're going to get game time. You're going to come straight into the starting 11 at Manchester United. And I think it's an exciting prospect. I looked at his wages. I think it's around 90 grand a week when you convert it into pounds. United can facilitate that. It's not going to break the bank. And I think, you know, you're coming into an environment where you're playing with Mainoo and Bruno Fernandes. I think that's a nice little midfield to play with in Manchester United. So yeah, there might be competition, but United are already in there. They're having conversations, and hopefully we can get a decent price agreed. But get in the comments down below, what price do you think is reasonable for Ugarte? What price would you want to see Manchester United pay? What price would you say, if you saw Fabrizio Romano, you know, here we go, Man United have agreed a deal worth this for Ugarte, what do you think is the right price? Because I was thinking around 35 million plus 10 million in add-ons. I might be a bit off, we might need to go a bit higher, but that's what I was thinking would be a nice sort of price for him. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Someone in the chat just said Mainoo will be back soon. Don't speak like that about England, but under Southgate, you're probably right. Honestly, I don't even want to talk about England. It's depressing. But what is exciting is Kobbie Mainoo is set to be handed his first England start in a major competition by Gareth Southgate. So Kobbie Mainoo is basically going to start. Well, Kobbie Mainoo is going to start against Slovakia on Sunday, apparently, according to recent news. So that's exciting, and don't be surprised if England play a lot better with Mainoo starting in that midfield, because he come on and, I mean, he changed the game the other night, didn't he? I thought he was excellent when he came on. I thought he made a massive difference. So about time that Southgate evaluated the situation and went with Mainoo. if it wasn't for his stubbornness, he could have realised it a few games ago and we could have been, you know, moving on a lot more swiftly, I would say. Does that make sense? Moving on. We wouldn't have had to trial the Gallagher situation. That never should have happened anyway. Anyway, that's football. It's the United stand, but Kobbie Mainoo is set to start for England, which I think is, you know, at his age, I think is he 19 now, 18, 19 years old? In a squad that is filled with talent, just shows the quality that we have on our hands. And I think, again, that's super exciting. It's super exciting for Manchester United. And I can't wait for him to develop with a midfield partner next season, because it won't be Casemiro, it's going to be somebody new. We are going to sign a midfielder, I'm pretty sure about it. Could be Ugarte, could be somebody else. Looking like it's going to be Ugarte at the moment, but I'm excited to see that for Manchester United. A lot of people in the chat saying 35 to 45 million, 40 to 45 million, 30 to 35 max. So a lot of people are basically thinking around the £40 million mark for Ugarte. And let me put it this way to you guys, if this does happen, say we sign him for 40 million, and say with the Zirkzee, with the agent fees, whatever, it ends up coming to around 40 million as well. You've now got a striker who is, I think Zirkzee's around 23 years old. You've got a 23-year-old striker and you've got a 23-year-old holding midfielder that are both coming into your team and are going to be regulars in the first team. Obviously, you've got Rasmus to compete with Zirkzee, but you'd expect them both to get game time, and you'd expect Ugarte to start at Manchester United if he came in, definitely, for 80 million, which, when you look at it, that is some good business. It is some good business. It is, if the players work out. Like I said, I'm more confident in Ugarte working out. I think Zirkzee's a bit of a risk, but a lot of people are liking Zirkzee, and a lot of people are speaking very positively about him, so fingers crossed it would be a good signing. Neil Walker, welcome to the United Stand Members Club. Any other chats or polls you want, get them in, get your super chats in, and let me know what you're thinking. Make sure you hit a like on the video as well, everyone, for the Thursday night show. Really exciting stuff right now at Manchester United, and, you know, sun's out, sun's shining, get yourself a little drink, watch the show, hit a like on the video. Love it. Sean says bargain bucket. It's good business. It's good business. Any news on Todibo, says Javi. No more news as of now. The last I heard is that we were getting lawyers involved, but I know Mark was quite optimistic about that. I feel like court cases take quite a long time if it does end up happening, and we've not really heard it from a tier 1 source. So at the moment, I'm still expecting the Todibo deal to be off, to be honest with you. Who do we sign right-sided centre-back, though? Because I think Euro's going to Real Madrid, and we've not really been massively linked to anyone else apart from Bremer, but I don't know why, I just can't see the Bremer deal happening at all. Anyway, let's move on to some more positive news, and a lot of you guys would have seen it by now, but we'll talk about it because it has now officially been confirmed. And it is from Fabrizio Romano that the breaking news is Erik Ten Hag's new contract has been agreed and will be signed in the coming days. Ruud van Nistelrooy and Rene Hake will join the backroom staff. Hopefully I said that right as well. I always get scared when I'm saying Rene Hake like that. But they will join the backroom staff. It's 100% confirmed. Can I just say, by the way, obviously we have Fabrizio on the show, so we have good relationships with him. But I seen a few weeks ago, by the way, Ornstein's doing some incredible work this summer transfer window. They're two brilliant journalists. I've seen a lot of people saying, you know, Romano's lost his touch, Ornstein's taken over. Two of them, they're both doing brilliant jobs. And, you know, yeah, Ornstein gets exclusives, and he's had a lot of exclusive recently. But Romano's also had some good exclusives as well. He got the Todibo stuff, he got the Erik Ten Hag and the Ruud van Nistelrooy stuff. So I think we need to appreciate both. And yeah, it's always good to kind of see multiple journalists doing well, and when you see that, it's nice to see. And obviously we have Romano on the channel, but yeah, I think it was a really great story from Romano, so I just kind of wanted to give him a little bit of credit on that. But yeah, excited about it. We knew it was going to happen. Ten Hag signed his new deal, and the coaches will follow, Rene Hake and also Ruud van Nistelrooy. Let's get cooking. Let's get cooking. Also, just a little bit more news coming out from Fabrizio Romano as well. And it is that Erik Ten Hag will still be involved in the conversations about signing players, and he will have a say. And honestly, I'm very happy about that. And people say, why are you happy? Because we've not really had the best signings under Ten Hag so far. I mean, we've had some good ones, of course we have. But I'm happy about it because we should never be in a situation where the manager doesn't get to have any control over who they're coaching and who's coming in for a team that they're building with their style of play. That should never be the case. As brilliant as the setups are at Manchester City and Liverpool regarding, the sporting director and the recruitment team doing the majority of the transfer business, Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, when he was still there, and I'm sure Arne Slot will do this as well, still had a say. They still had a voice, and that's what's really important. Of course, I definitely wanted the majority of the transfer decisions to be taken out of Ten Hag's hands. I didn't want him to be solely responsible, and that's why you're building the team of Wilcox, Dan Ashworth, Omar Barada, and you're building a team of recruitment experts to handle that. But you also want Erik Ten Hag to have a say. In an ideal world, you want a situation where Erik Ten Hag is speaking to Jason Wilcox, Dan Ashworth, and saying, look, I really need a right-sided centre-back who is brilliant in the air, he's fast, predominantly right-footed, excellent on his right foot, and is going to partner Lisandro Martinez really well. If we can kind of look for someone who has similar attributes to Raphael Varane, a younger version that's probably a little bit better on the ball, that's the sort of profile I'm looking at. Look, I really want a centre-forward that is a different sort of profile to Rasmus, that is more of a facilitating number 9 that's going to come in and link up with the wingers and gives me a different option. And then what the Dan Ashworths and the Jason Wilcox and the recruitment team do is they go away, they compile a list of different players that suit the attributes that Erik Ten Hag has said he wants for his team. They say, look, we've got Yoro here from Lille. He's young, he suits that mould of someone who you're going to be able to develop. He's got all the attributes that you want, and he's going to cost around 50 to 60 million pounds. The only issue is Real Madrid is still in. We've also got Todibo, who's 40 million, who will be able to get a deal done. He's really excited to come, blah, 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 blah. They give the list. Centre forwards, we've got these options. We've got that, and that. And Erik Ten Hag says, you know what, I really like the idea of Todibo. I really like the idea of Todibo. He ticks all my boxes. That's who I want. And the recruitment team say, okay, let's have a conversation. Yeah, I think he fits. And they move forward with that deal. It should be a collaborative effort. Here's an example of when the recruitment team should step in. Erik Ten Hag goes, I really want to bring Anthony from Ajax. I've worked with him. I think he's going to adapt to the Premier League really well. He has that left foot that I like on my right wingers. He's great at cutting inside, which is really important to my style. Holds up the ball well. I've worked with him. He's got a good attitude. He's someone I really want to bring in. And what the recruitment team at that moment in time say, look, we've gone to Ajax, we've spoken to him. They want at least 80 million, and we don't think he's worth that. Instead, here are other right wingers who also have the similar attributes to Anthony. Great on the left foot, like to cut inside, like to move, drift into the midfield, create that balance, who we think will be able to work well with the current set of players, work well with the attributes that you need from a right winger. And these are the options that we've got. And then Ten Hag goes through and they have that sort of collaborative effort. That's how it should be. So I'm excited that Erik Ten Hag has kept his say in things. We should never have a situation where the manager doesn't have say or control, because you'd never have that under Sir Alex Ferguson. You'd never have that under Pep Guardiola. You'd never have that under Jurgen Klopp. You'd never have it under strong, dominant managers. So it's important that Erik Ten Hag keeps his say, but it's also important that we have a really good recruitment team behind him that massively helps him out, because Pep has that as well. He gives so much credit to the sporting director before. He gave credit to the sporting director for Doku. He gave credit to the sporting director for Akanji. So yeah, we're moving in the right direction. And what the amazing thing is we're actually looking like a club with cohesion, with structure. And I'm just so thankful that Erik Ten Hag gets to stay and work under this. And this is what Robert McCormack was saying early on in the Super Chat. It is now or never. There isn't any excuses. You've got the structure. You still have a say in transfers. You've got your coaching staff around you now. We're bringing in Rene Hake, who share the same visions, and the same football philosophy as you, that literally is a first-team manager. We've got Ruud van Nistelrooy, who gives you momentum in the dressing room, who's also been successful with PSV, who also is qualified to be a first-team manager, who has the history of Manchester United. And hopefully they back him with players as well, and they bring him in the centre forward he wants, the midfielder he wants, the centre back he wants, and hopefully maybe some extra additions as well. And we can move into next season with no excuses and hopefully building something that's going to be quite special. So yeah, we'll see. Obviously all these things have to happen. It's great to talk about it, but these have to happen as well, and there's no excuses on that. Richard Jack says Martinez, Hojlund, Casemiro first season, Eriksen first season, Molossi was okay as a backup to Shaw, Onana came good eventually. Yeah, there is, you know, as good as Casemiro was in his first season, that was never the move, and I don't actually think it was a Ten Hag move. I think he okayed it, but he really wanted De Jong, didn't he, at that moment in time? Hojlund then was also an Erik Ten Hag signing as well as the club. I think that was a collaborative effort, and you know, he's got a lot of potential. I could go through them all day. There's some that haven't worked out, but I still think there's hope for a lot of him. Rasmus, I think, has got loads of development. There's still massive hope for that one, and I would call that a success. I would call that a success with the goals that he managed to get last season in an underperforming Man United side and the progression he had. So I would call that a success. Onana, obviously, it first seemed like it was a mistake, but then came really good, I thought, in 2024, and I think will only progress further. Mason Mount, you literally can't even comment because he's been injured so much. So hopefully if he is fit next season, you'll be able to see why we bought him, because I still believe there's a good player there. Eriksen, obviously, Andy Carroll sort of ended his career there. Still a really good player, by the way, technically on the ball. Just, I think physically now is not up to where we want in an Erik Ten Hag system, and probably will depart the club. Johnny Evans on a free was decent. Martinez was a brilliant signing. So yeah, I could go through them all day, but we've spoke about this before, to be honest. But yeah, last little bits I wanted to speak about was, it's coming in that from the Times that the jobs of Steve McLaren and Mitchell van der Gaag, the two assistants of Erik Ten Hag, could be in danger as Ineos considers making significant changes to the backroom staff at Manchester United. What I would say is, like, Ineos aren't messing about. Like, they have no issue making decisions and upsetting a few people and shuffling the pack. So I think that's a good thing, by the way. You've always got to be on the front foot. You've got to be looking at how to better the club. I am surprised, though, because Steve McLaren seems to have a really good relationship with the players and seems to be well liked. And Mitchell van der Gaag, if I'm not mistaken, Ajax were eyeing him up for a first-team manager job, were they not? Not so long ago. So I'd be very surprised, because Van der Gaag is sort of Erik Ten Hag's right-hand man. So I'd be very surprised if they got rid of both of them. It is, however, coming out from Rob Dawson at the ESPN that Benny McCarthy is set to leave Manchester United with his contract due to expire at the end of the month. Obviously, there was rumours a few weeks ago that Ten Hag wanted Benny McCarthy to stay, but he's going to leave, and it is set now that Benny McCarthy is going to leave. And to be honest with you, what a lovely man. Always super nice when he interacts with the fans, and when he walks through mixed zones, he's always lovely as well. Seems like he's very well liked, and he's very well liked by the players. But at the end of the day, you know, you can't be paid for just being people's friends and for being a nice guy. He seems like he is such a nice guy, and I wish him the best in his future. We never know what he's like in the training. He could be absolutely magnificent. Loads of people give him props for Rashford's form when he excelled massively under Erik Ten Hag in his first season. But he is meant to be a forward coach, and let's be real, our forwards underperformed last season. So yeah, I feel bad because I really like Benny McCarthy, but if he's not providing what he should be for the money that we're paying him on a contract, then Ineos have to make that decision, and clearly the decision is that they want to move on to somebody else. So yeah, I wish Benny McCarthy the best of luck, though, for the rest of his career if he does leave, because he's such a lovely guy. But you know, there's so many people that are really nice guys that don't get to work at Manchester United day in, day out. So yeah, we'll have to see how that pans out, but it looks like Benny McCarthy is going to depart. Last little bit I wanted to bring in as well, I just wanted to touch on these things, Sancho and Rashford. So first of all is from Richard Fay, is that Jadon Sancho would be due to report back to Manchester United for pre-season training on July the 8th if he does not find a new club before then. July the 8th is the date that all the players that aren't on Euros duty or Copa America duty are due back at Manchester United for training. That's going to be interesting because I don't know about you guys, I don't see Sancho having his future resolved before July the 8th. Like, July the 8th is not a long time. July the 8th is a week on Monday, I think. Like, it's not going to happen. So what's going to happen? Is he going to train in the youth centre on his own again or with the youth players? Is he going to have to park in a different car park? You know, we heard the stories that happened last time. Like, what is going to happen with this situation? I have no idea, but it is going to be awkward. And these are the things that as much as I'm, you know, bigging up Ineos right now and bigging up the stuff that we're doing, we really do need to resolve some of the outgoings. Greenwood, we need to get a move on with it. Sancho, we need to get a move on with it. I get it's difficult, especially the Sancho situation. It's difficult because, let's be realistic, there's not much interest there for a player that's underperformed during his career at Manchester United and he's on 350 grand a week. And United want a transfer fee. Let's be honest, like, people are short of cash as it is. There's not that much money within Europe right now in football, in the footballing world. Like, there's not. So Sancho is difficult to move out, and this is why it looks like it's probably going to be another loan, but it needs to be resolved. It really does, and Man United are going to have to try and get the best deal possible and manoeuvre something. And Jadon Sancho, I mean, what I would do if I was United, I think we should sell him. I know it's difficult, but if a club wants to come in and pay us, you know, say the fee for Sancho is like 40 million. 40 million is what we want. I'd say, you know what? But they can't afford the wages. I'd say, whatever we owe him wages, take that off the transfer fee. So whatever we owe Jadon Sancho in wages, just take it off the transfer fee and let's be done with it. Because at the end of the day, Ineos are investing into Erik Ten Hag. They're building a future at Manchester United around Erik Ten Hag. Sancho isn't going to be part of that. Let's just cut our losses. Let's not do any more loans where he has to come back to Carrington in the pre-season. Let's just not have that hanging around us. Let's not have, if he has a few good performances, you know, you've got people saying, you know, Sancho should be given another chance, because it's just not going to happen, is it? Like, the bridges are burned. There was a way back for him. There was no apologies, and they just don't see eye to eye. Like I said, sometimes there's partnerships, and there's partnerships that complement each other. Ten Hag's obviously got a great relationship with Garnacho, Manu, Dalot. There's other players, I'm sure, Martinez. Him and Sancho just didn't gel, and it's not gonna work out. So we need to get rid of him. He needs to go for his own career as well, like playing football week in, week out, being somewhere where you're happy and you're appreciated. So I think it's best to cut ties, and I would just take a loss on the wage, to be honest with you. I would take a loss on the wage. I wonder how much someone just said his weekly wages at 18.5 million. How long he's left on his contract? I'd be very interested to know how much we would have to let go of wage-wise, but could it just be worth it to do it, honestly, and just cut your losses? I know that we'd lose out in terms of financial fair play. I know it would be a really bad deal on the books, but sometimes you've just got to think, especially if you're Ineos, this isn't a deal that we sanctioned, and this is an example of what not to let happen again. And hopefully we can learn from that. Also on Rashford, it's coming from Alex Crook at TalkSport. PSG will consider a move for Marcus Rashford this summer. The French side could step up their interest if they receive the encouragement that Rashford is open to the move. Again, I spoke about this a tiny bit on the afternoon show, but I was mainly speaking about the new coach on the afternoon show. Go and check that out, by the way. Did a little bit of a deep dive onto Rene Hake and what he can provide to Manchester United as a coach coming in to support Erik Ten Hag. So make sure you check that out. But on Rashford and PSG, I think PSG would be interested, but I don't think Rashford will want to go. So I think that puts a pin in that story. Obviously, Rashford's a name that's always going to get clicks out there in the footballing world when it comes to articles and when it comes to headlines. He always is. He's a massive star at Manchester United. And I think there is truth in the fact that PSG have been highly interested in him. So I think obviously there's a story there to be written, but I think the other side of things is that it says there, if they receive encouragement that Rashford is open to the move. I honestly don't think Rashford is going to be open to the move. I think seeing Van Nistelrooy come in, seeing that Manchester United are getting behind Erik Ten Hag and supporting him for the future, I think Rashford will want to be part of that, and I think he'll want to give it another shot at his boyhood club. I really hope that if he does stay, which I think he will, he's using this time wisely, which is off social media at the moment. I think that's a good move. He massively invests in himself this summer. He works on himself, not only his physicality and his athleticism, which he's obviously very naturally gifted in that area, but he also works on himself from a personal point of view and mentally as well, and doesn't make some of the same mistakes that he did last season in terms of, you know, the Belfast situation, after the Derby situation, and makes the right decisions and comes back fighting and is the player that his potential is, realistically, and that's all I can say on that for the moment. So I don't think Rashford will get sold. I think Rashford will stay at Manchester United, and that's as much as I can say on that. And last but not least, this is coming out from The Athletic. Do you remember when Manchester United were linked to Dewsbury Hall? I just wanted to quickly bring it in because he was a Manchester United target. Chelsea contacts Leicester City to express interest in signing Kieran Dewsbury Hall. No formal bid yet, but the midfielder is keen to join Chelsea if he leaves Leicester, seen as a perfect fit for the style of play under head coach Enzo Maresca. So coming from The Athletic there, honestly, couldn't care less in the words of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Dewsbury Hall was never a player that I thought suited the profile of midfielder that Manchester United were looking to bring in. I think Dewsbury Hall's a good player, don't get me wrong, but we've got Mason Mount, we've got Bruno Fernandes. For me, he isn't the profile of player that we need to come in to succeed Casemiro. And that's the end of that. But look, everyone, thank you for watching the 8 o'clock show. Thank you for getting involved. Thank you for getting interactive. Thank you for getting your comments in. Make sure you hit a like on the video. It really is appreciated. And thank you very much for all of your super chats, all of your comments. And what a lovely show. And a lovely show speaking about exciting topics. Zirkzee and Ugarte, could they be the first signings for Manchester United? Leave me a comment what you're thinking, and would you be excited by them 2 deals? Let me know anything else that you're thinking going into the transfer window. Are you excited about the new coaches coming in? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you for watching, everyone, and we will see you on the next one.